Hey there gang, Kawaii50 here with another Fake Grand Order video, and I figured I would kick off this round of videos for this big event by talking about the easiest obtainable servant and then going up from there. So we're going to talk about a servant where you don't even have to participate in the event to get her. That's right, I'm talking about the brand new 1-star Mary Awning. We're going over Mary's best allies, craft essences, and command codes, so you can pull this servant from the friend point gacha and as many servant coins as you're able to gobble up and turn her into a formidable lancer for your team. Hopefully, this video ends up helping you out. If it does, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, etc. All of those things would really help me out as I try to get to 10k subs by the end of the year. I think we can do it, I just need your help to get there. So, there we go. Now you know what I need from you. Let me give you what you came here to see. Let's talk about Mary Awning. So Mary's deck consists of 1 quick, 2 arts, and 2 buster cards with an AoE Arts Noble Phantasm. That's right, she is an easily acquirable Arts Looper. Now, she's a 1-star, so her max HP and max attack are going to be fairly low, as you can see illustrated here. The nice things about her, however, is that her star absorption is fairly solid as a Lancer, which ties into one of her skills, and her NP per hit actually ends up being fairly good, which again ties into another thing that Mary wants to do. So much like was the case with the original Paul Bunyan and the way that servant was built from a mechanical standpoint, right out of the gate, Mary is looking pretty dang good. The biggest hurdle we're seeing right now is her 1-star rarity. So if you really like her and you really want to grail her, from a meta standpoint, that might not necessarily be a bad idea. Considering her lower rarity, she is actually going to really benefit from some additional stats. Maybe at least kick her up to 80 if you find that you're really going to be repeatedly using her. That's my piece on that. Mary's first skill and her most important one is Sea Lily Charisma rank C. This increases the attack of all female allies by 10 to 15% by 3 turns, increases all of their arts card effectiveness by 10 to 15% for 3 turns, and increases their NP gain by 10% for 3 turns. Not only does this just affect female allies, but this also affects allies that tie into the unknown gender as well. What you mainly need to know about the skill is yes, this skill does affect Mary. This is going to be Mary's primary damaging skill, so we're going to want to go ahead and max this first. Mary's second skill is Madame Fossil's Great Discovery, rank A. This immediately grants Mary 20 to 30 critical stars at the cost of dealing 500 in damage to her. Now, this skill is simple, yet effective. Stars on demand. When you know you're going to have a stacked deck, just burn this skill and have Mary use her cards to deal as much damage as possible to the opponent. Most importantly, using those stars to crit on her arts cards and charge up her Noble Phantasm. We're definitely going to go ahead and max this skill second. And Mary's final skill is Business Acumen rank A. This decreases the NP gauge of all enemies by 1 and increases the NP gauge of all allies by a flat 10%. Yeah, sorry, this doesn't end up getting boosted off of Mary's skill levels. What does get boosted is the critical strength bonus she gives all of her allies. This is going to be a 20 to 30% boost and ends up pairing really nicely with Mary's second skill. Unfortunately, because this skill doesn't get that NP gauge boost on level, we're going to have to relegate this to leveling last. You'll still want to level it because Mary will benefit from that critical damage, but it is the lowest priority. Taking a look at Mary's Append Skills, we've got 2 that especially stand out. Extra attack boost is great for when she is doing full chain attacks. You are probably going to want this in order to try to refund her Noble Phantasm in a full chain. Remember, extra attack card effectiveness does increase NP gain off of that card as well. So that's one of the main reasons we want to level this. Low magical energy itself is also very important. A 10 to 20% boost is good on basically any character, and Mary is absolutely no exception. She's not able to immediately get a 50% charge off of that. Sadly, her third skill, again, doesn't increase Noble Phantasm gain based on level, but a starting 30% is still a decent amount to work with. Now that we're syncing all of this stuff into Mary's Noble Phantasm, let's take a peek at what it looks like. And I gotta say, I really like this one. And that was Mary's Noble Phantasm, Duria Antiquior. This deals 450 to 750% damage to all enemies, nullifies the next buff that they cast on themselves for the next 3 turns, and also as an overcharge effect, it increases Mary's arts card effectiveness by 1 turn. And yes, this activates before the damage is dealt. So Mary's going to feel that effectiveness in her Noble Phantasm's damage. You will get this to NP5, won't you? I mean, she's a limited 1-star servant, just like Nobukatsu was, and you got Nobukatsu to NP5, right? Didn't you? You better just go ahead and get Mary to NP5. You will be very upset, and you will be missing out if you do not. Because she's so easy to NP5 though, on top of that, this makes Mary a fairly sustainable farmer from the get-go. She is able to get a solid boost to her Noble Phantasm damage, and since Art Servants get most of their NP on refund, the extra damage from Overkill is going to really help her regain that NP gauge. But like I stated previously, she is still a 1-star servant. So if you're fighting enemies with a fairly high HP count in the later bits of FGO, you might need to sink some Grails into Mary solely to keep her relevant. She's gonna need that attack boost in order to deal enough damage to get a refund. So let's talk allies. Mary needs to be paired with a Castoria to reach maximum effectiveness. Yes, she's a 1-star free servant, but she is a 1-star free farming servant. And being an arts farming servant, that means she needs to benefit from the queen herself. So pair Mary with a Castoria, you will be thankful that you did. I'm actually seeing pretty decent numbers on my own Mary, and I haven't even sunk any Grails into her yet. She is still fairly formidable thanks to the raw power that Castoria still contains. Of course, any other art servant would be an acceptable pairing with Mary, as would any other female servant or unknown gender servant, because they would end up benefiting from Mary's first skill, but Castoria is going to still remain the queen. Let's talk Mary's craft essences. Kaleidoscope reigns supreme. That 2000 attack damage is really helpful for Mary considering her rarity, and that starting 100% NP gauge is going to allow her to immediately Noble Phantasm and continue to loop. Because Mary is only able to reach a max of 30 Noble Phantasm charge from a combination of her 3rd skill and her maxed out Append skill, that unfortunately closes off a lot of options to her. So you will need to rely on a support to get her to a turn 1 Noble Phantasm if you don't have a K-scope. The recent Star's Day Off can be an excellent inclusion in Mary's kit if you are lacking a Kaleidoscope. This is a quick and arts card effectiveness, which are Mary's main cards, and also increases her Noble Phantasm strength by 5 to 8% and includes a starting NP gauge. The stats on this are still split. She'll still like the stats boost to HP regardless because she's a 1-star servant, but this is going to be your primary freebie option if you are lacking a K-scope. I can also recommend any other starting NP gauge CE. The 4-star Winter Crystal seems like a pretty good pick. This has stats based solely into attack. It's only 4 stars, but it can give you a starting 60 to 75% NP gauge. If you're able to get it max limit broken and get Mary to that maxed Append skill, well, she is going to go ahead and be able to turn 1 Noble Phantasm even with this one equipped. As much starting NP gauge as possible is going to be your goal on Mary Anning. And finally, let's talk command codes, and let's go with the easy picks. To start with, Mary's Arts cards. When it comes to Mary's Arts cards, you are going to want Star Gather there. Mary's got the ability to generate stars on demand. You're going to want to use critting Arts cards in order to charge her Noble Phantasm. So look for things like Immature Illusionary Command Seal to give your Arts cards that star absorption boost. Gentle Wish is another great popular option, increasing star absorption on the engraved card, and Colonel Automaton will get you a lower star absorption boost at the bonus of increased critical damage, so that is going to be your trade-off there. Basically, anything you have that increases star absorption is going to be absolutely what you want on Mary's Arts cards. When it comes to Mary's quick cards, we are just going to want any critical star generation, whether it's a single or 3 stars, or some sort of percent-based star generation. Yes, she does have the ability to generate stars off of her 2nd skill. However, we want to get as close to that 60 threshold as possible, and she has to wait 4 turns at level 10 for that skill to cool down. So let's go ahead and give her quick cards an ability to generate more stars. Co-Glitter is going to be your freebie pick. This is just going to be a 20% boost, but it scales quite nicely on any quick cards in a servant's arsenal. You can also go ahead and give her some sort of standard critical star gain. Anything that gives you 1, 2, etc. This is going to be fine, just fine when it comes to Mary's kit. You can give her something like, say, the Buddy Ring. This would give her a critical star and increases her debuff resistance for the Buddy Ring Gold, for example. That can be really nice. You can also give her something like the Mini Border. This gains critical stars and also removes a defense up buff from an enemy, allowing Mary to deal more damage with a subsequent Noble Phantasm attack. And when it comes to that Buster card, let's just focus on using that for as much damage as possible. Normally, I'd be wary of giving her anything that, just purely does damage. Maybe want to focus on that sort of buff cleansing, but we have Castoria on our team. She has that crazy super mega ultra invincibility. Let's just focus on damage from Mary, so give her any sort of critical damage boosting command code. We're going to go with Code Burst here as our example, just because that is a freebie option from the Friend Point Gacha, and so is Mary. Overall, gang, I think Mary is a fairly excellent freebie pick that we have been given here in FGO. She's got some nice skills. They may not necessarily be the best in their field, but they all work towards what Mary wants to do, which is use her Noble Phantasm again and again and again. Of course, her main weakness comes from the fact that she is, one, a farming servant, so she really needs some solid support from the rest of her team in order to accomplish that goal. Luckily, we can get her Noble Phantasm up just fine. That in itself is a non-issue, but then we run into our second problem, which is Mary's low stats from being a 1-star. Of course, Masters can remedy this by sinking Grails into Mary, and with Grail casting as a feature in the game right now, this is going to be easier than ever. But Masters are going to have to ask themselves, do I want to sink those resources into Mary? Or do I want to use those Grails on somebody else? However, if you like Mary, then asking even from a meta standpoint, she is a fantastic candidate to Grail, like the vast majority of low star servants. Remember, low star servants keep their low cost even after they are Grailed. Sure, they might not necessarily meet the stat highs of a natural 5-star, but I think after Grailed there are plenty of lower rarity servants that are absolutely worth using. Mary falls into that category. But I want to know what you all think, so let me know your thoughts on Mary down in the comments section below. Let me know if you think there are any allies, craft essences, or command codes I might have missed, and let me know if you were excited to go for her in the Friend Point Gacha. I managed to get all 5 copies I needed of Mary fairly easily, grabbed as many servant coins as I can, and I managed to pick up another Habitrot on the way, so that was also a very nice surprise. Let me know if you picked up anything nice in those Friend Point rolls as you head down in the comments. Also, be sure to check out the Discord, Patreon, and Ko-fi. Huge thanks to everyone on all those platforms for their support, and a big thanks to you here on YouTube for watching to the end. I really do appreciate that. But anyways, gang, that's it for me, Kawaii50. I hope you all have a phenomenal day, and I will see you all in the next one.